What's up guys, it's Sultimate Hacker here, and today
Hey guys, I'm Anisul, and welcome to my channel Sultimate. I know it's been a really long time since the last time I posted, but the primary reason as to why I stopped uploading on YouTube was because I spent so much time focusing on the college application process. But now that I'm back home due to quarantine, I thought it'd be a great way to restart this channel. With that being said, let's get started. Now, this Adirondack chair that you see here on the left, although it's rustic and such, I made it 4 years ago when I was a freshman in high school. This was one of my first woodworking projects when the only tools that I had was this jigsaw and a drill. So I thought that it'd be really cool that after 4 years of DIYing and creating other projects, I'd go back to my roots and create another Adirondack chair, except this time, instead of creating it out of pallets, I'd make it out of an old IKEA bed frame. Let's see how it went. What the f- Because I wanted the legs to be sturdy of the chair and to be able to support enough weight, I ended up using a scrap piece of 2x4 that I found in my backyard. The wood was about 8 feet long, which was too long to fit on my shop table for the table saw, so I measured 37.5 inches with my measuring tape, made sure the line was straight with my square, and cut the board with my circular saw. Once I had one piece cut, I used the miter saw to cut the other supporting leg to 37.5 inches as well. Next up, I took one of the legs and began measuring and drawing out the cutouts. On the left side of one of the legs, I measured out 2 inches from the top and then 2 inches from the side. On the opposite end of the right side, I marked 2 inches from the top and then 5 inches from the side on the bottom as shown. I copied this cut out onto the other leg and then repeated the process, cutting out the slant with the miter saw. Afterwards, I cut out the curves from both of the legs with my jigsaw. Next up, I gave these boards a light sand with 100 grit sandpaper. I would have used my sander, but unfortunately I ran out of sandpaper that adhered to the sander and had to use what I had supplied in the shed. Finally, we needed another 4 legs, which I used 4 pieces of scrap 2x4s. The measurements are as follows. 2 legs were 18 3/4 inches, while the other 2 legs were 19 1/2 inches. I measured and then cut them with my miter saw. The 18 3/4 inch legs will be attached to the back end of the chair, while the 19 1/2 inch legs will be attached to the front end. In order to know how far apart the legs should be, measure 1/2 inch from the slant cut and 1/2 inch from the bottom of the leg. Then, put the points together, and to attach the back legs, first make sure the slant and the leg are level with each other. I used my square for this process. The points you marked out should be touching each other. After making sure they're flush, I used 3 2-inch screws. I drilled in a pilot hole first, then used the countersink drill bit, and then finally drilled in the screw. For the second leg, which is the front end leg, be sure to space it out 18 inches from the back end leg and repeat the same process. The slanted leg should be 7 inches above from the bottom of the front leg. After you're all set, repeat this with the other 2 legs and the slanted piece from the scrap 2x4s. Finally, we're going to go ahead and grab the IKEA wood from the bed frame. We were originally going to throw these out, but I thought I might as well give second life to them since that's what this channel is all about. IKEA bed frames have this annoying string that's attached to the pallet-like wood, so we're simply going to cut them off with a pair of scissors. Don't worry about the nails that are attached to the wood, since we're going to cut off the ends to ensure that each piece is 22 inches long, since that's how wide I want the Adirondack chair to be. For now, I'm going to cut off 8 inches and measure them each to 22 inches. Setting the rest aside, I'm going to cut the 8 pieces to, again, 22 inches, and these will be used for the seat. Now, the fun part. Assembly. I'm gonna measure 1 inch from the back legs and mark it with a pencil on both sides. Then take one of your pieces that you cut and place it on the marks you indicated. To drill the pieces in, I'll be using a 1.5 inch exterior screw. I drilled the pilot hole first, then used the countersink bit, and finally drilled in the screws. For now, I'm only going to place one seat slack first, as it will make assembly of the back end of the seat that much easier. Now I need a slat that is 29 inches long. I went back to the IKEA wood and cut one wood out of the pile. I measured 29 inches and cut the wood to size. The string attached to the wood had to be removed, so I simply took a small flathead screwdriver and pried out the nail. With a pair of pliers, I pulled the nail out and sanded out any splinters with 100 grit sandpaper. The wood already has some sort of finish on it, so there's no need to sand the whole piece of wood. I set the wood exactly in the middle of the back legs, leaving an overhang of 5 inches on both sides. The 5 inches of overhang would allow for the arm to be supported, and the piece of wood overall would act as the support rail for the back slats. Then I drilled it in using the same technique of pilot hole, counter bit, and then finally screw. For the back slats, I laid out 5 slats from the original pile of wood from the bed frame and laid them out together like so. I took a yogurt cup, and honestly, for this part, you can go with my design, or with any other design that you want to go with. Because my previous chair already had the big semi-circle design, I want to go for something different, so I made the middle slat a semicircle and then the rest a quarter circle. I don't even know what the term is, I just thought it was a cool design. And after that, I made sure to mirror the same design on the other side. This was the final outline on the wood. Afterwards, I took the jigsaw and cut out the designs and then pried out the piece of string that was still left on the pieces of wood. I then drilled in the left side wood first, making it flush with the side seat support and the back support. I used the level to ensure it was straight and then drilled it in. 1 screw on the bottom seat slack and then 1 screw into the back support. I did the same for the right side, and then from there on, I spaced each slat out evenly and drilled them in. This was the final product. For the seat slats, the first piece I made it flush with the back end and then drilled it in. Using the scrap pieces of IKEA wood that we had, I used them as spacers between each slat and drilled in the pieces one by one until the seat was finally complete. Next up, I needed a support that would connect the 2 slanted seat supports together to ensure that the seat was sturdy. This was about 19 inches long, so I used another piece of scrap 2x4 and cut it with my miter saw. I attached this piece of wood with 2 3-inch screws on both sides. Finally, before we attach the arms, we need to make an arm support. The measurements are as follows. I made it about 1.5 inches by 2 inches and then used 2 different sized electrical tapes as outlines for the curve. After cutting out the pieces with my jigsaw, I attached the pieces on both ends of the front legs using 2-inch screws. I forgot to drill in a pilot hole initially, causing one of the arm supports to split. This is how the final arm supports looked on the chair. Last but not least, it was time to make the arms. I ended up using the full initial size of the slats, which was about 30 inches. I used a yogurt cup again as a template to draw a semicircle at the ends of the arms to create a nice finished design that tied in with the overall design of the chair. I gave the ends a light sand and then began attaching the arms onto the chair. To attach the arms of the chair, I used 1 1/4 inch screws so that the ends of the screws didn't poke through the bottom of the wood. I attached 2 screws to the back end of the legs and then 2 screws to the front end of the legs. Use the same technique of drilling, which is pilot hole, countersink bit, and then screws. Once you have these attached, your chair is complete. You can go ahead and paint the chair, but I wanted to keep the natural wood look on it, and because the IKEA bed frame comes with a finish on it already, there was no need to stain the wood again. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and be sure to leave a like, comment, and be sure to comment down below what other DIYs you want to see. I have a whole list of ideas that I want to explore. The only issue is that we're so limited on supplies. The only reason why I was able to create this Adirondack chair was because I had the old IKEA bed frame and I didn't have any other piece of wood. If I was to go back, some things that I would reconsider for this project is definitely creating it out of pressure treated wood so that I can go ahead and put this outside. Right now I'm probably going to get a few cushions for this chair and set it on my patio, which has like a little roof or so that water doesn't penetrate through. But yeah, other than that, be sure to leave down in the comments any DIY ideas that you want me to make. With that being said, I'll see you guys on the next Sultimate Sunday.